Good morning. Welcome to Flat Earth Early Bird number 1600. I'm your host, Arwijn. And before we start the show, please don't forget to share it on any platform you deem fit. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal, Patreon. That would be much appreciated. I can always use the support, really. Please keep it coming, guys. And thanks everybody that has supported me over these 1600 episodes. I really appreciate it. How long the trip has been going. Was it 2016? That's 7 years, pretty much straight, the Early Bird Show. And before that, of course, 2017 I started, I think. That would make sense. 2016 I was still doing Flat Earth talks. Anyhow, weather today again is pretty beautiful, but slightly different. It's not a super clear blue and more moist in the air, a little warmer because there's less wind. So it's pretty warm outside. Right, put my plants here. I'm back on the balcony. And I got another one. I got another oregano plant that looked like he was really eager to get repotted, so I just thought no, I gotta get that one. Immediately repotted and it's already exploding. It still thinks it's like in the woods or something because it's spreading out horizontally like crazy. Right, they're all crushing it. My basil plant is just exploding with this extra sun and this heat. Great stuff. Right, hello Tiger Bear, first in chat, good to see you, man. It is Sunday, the 14th of May, 2023. And I think I thought of something to try and summarize basically my entire appearance on YouTube and the things that I've done and try to get them even in order a bit. But I mean, that's gonna take quite a while to do that. Because I have pretty detailed memories of most of it. Like the order of how things all happened. It's quite a story, really. Hello, crew. Ah, there it is. Hello, George Sanford. Long, skinny planters. Yeah, I could potentially put sticks in there and give the oregano some growing guidance, if that is what you mean, George Sanford. But I mean, I just got it yesterday, so everything in due time. Oh, on the railing? No, I don't think so. I mean, that thing is full of spiders and all that, and I'm not gonna keep anything permanently to the rails. I mean, I've thought about it, like, oh, what if I just had some kind of garden in there permanently? Like, on there. But, I mean, no. It's just not gonna work. I mean, it'll work during summer, and then after that they'll all die, and then it all gets blown away during autumn. Because there's pretty heavy wind here at this spot during autumn. And there was pretty heavy wind there during April. So, oh yeah, hey LSG. Yeah, Mother's Day, I've heard of that. Right. Right, anyway. I'm pretty much up for whatever you guys want to talk about, or I'll try to, like, put down my own storytelling of the history of me on YouTube. If you guys like. Hey, Richard G. All them plants would do great. Yeah, George Sanford, and that's why I'm just gonna keep hauling them in the morning, putting them there in the sun, and then after the sun doesn't hit there anymore and it gets colder and more windy, usually because of it, I'm putting them back in the kitchen. That's working fine. I mean, I haven't done that before. Now I'm just like, yeah, I'm just doing that. All right. Yeah, I'll get to it. I start trying to figure out where the hell should I start it, because if I'm like, oh, where I first was confronted with flat Earth, well, then it's just going to be the entire story of my life, and that's not really going to fit. So it's really going to start at the last time I was woken up by flat Earth, which was oddly enough, like, in 2015, but it was not because of, like, YouTube directly. It was somebody that I barely knew. I actually didn't really like him too much, and he was weird, like a really weird guy, from my role-playing group, because I basically had just moved here for, what is it, 2 years? No, wait, 2014. So I'd been living here for like a year and really still disoriented because, yeah, I had a really miserable time. I got kicked out by my ex. I couldn't take my cat with me, and my cat had just died pretty much. And it was really fucking miserable. Like, really fucking miserable. Probably the worst I've ever felt in my life. Right? But, yeah. I was going to get into D&D again. I kind of already tried, because, like, I used to have a roleplay group with my old friends from pretty much the gothic scene, but, like, that wasn't working anymore. They all went off. Our game master went off to complete his study and his job to build AI for the Mars rover. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. And I had kind of already got into a bit of fraction when I was proposing creationism, because I had already gotten into that since 2010, including flat Earth. But then the one guy, a Dutch person that was kind of my friend, like pretty close friend too. I mean, he even like met my family and everything. Very cool guy. He has a little kid, should be like 5 or 6 or something. No, wait, much older. Kid in 2011. So this, whoa. She should be 12, huh? Right. Damn, time has flown. Anyway, that friend got scared into basically abandoning flat earth as a concept and just sticking to creationism, and Kent Hovind, who was that, but also a glober. He literally said it to me like that. But we got into creation. I got into creationism and into flat earth thanks to that guy, but he dropped out, and then I got so spooked by that, I literally made myself forget about flat earth. It's like this, it's like, again, it happened again. I got into flat earth again, and everybody abandoned me again, so I'm gonna forget this. And that happened like already during my girlfriend, like when I was already with her, and she rejected it too. Or rather, she accepted it, but she refused to ever, like, be openly associated with it, pretty much. That's the attitude I got from her about it. Right, so I forgot about it again. Got into role-playing when I was here. Pretty freaking miserable, really, to be fair. And then, yeah, with the gaming group, I got into issues. I got into a bit of, like, anger. I was very frustrated, kind of depressed overall for my situation, and I was like a little bit easily angered sometimes, right? I mean, you've seen that of me. And got into the hassle with this guy basically over weird ideology, because he had weird, like, semi-psychopathic moral derangement, like weird things like that. He was a little like erased in a sense. I thought it was like a benevolent psychopath, if there is such a thing. But he was weird, very young, by the way, the guy. But we got into, like, the group was basically breaking apart because we couldn't stop bickering, Game Master and him, player, and he was kind of like the player. He brought other people into it. And then I started to, like, just as a distraction, was like, yeah, but you could do D&D like in a futuristic setting too, and like space station, and I'm really working on that. And then he just out of nowhere, to offend me, I think, in retrospect, but it's weird because he didn't really have a lot of emotion to his speaking. So I couldn't really tell too much. It was very confusing for me as an empath. But he basically told, the earth is flat, in Dutch. And I was like, yeah, of course. So what? I'm just designing a space station. I basically bluffed like I already knew that. Because it's like, yeah, it sounded like, yeah, you should know that. Or you're ignorant. But like as he said that, I got really weirded out, because it's like I suddenly remembered about flat earth, but like in a very hostile setting. And I basically bluffed my way through that I already knew that. But because I had forgotten, it just got back to me because he said it. So his little tricksy thing worked. He basically figured that out about me. Probably because he's like a psychopath. And he just like played with me on that. And because of that, I got freaked out. I just started like, you know what? I'm gonna look it up on YouTube. And guess what happened? Flat Earth Clues by Mark Sargent. And was like, hey, oh, there's actually just a really nice, really smooth sort of NPR voice guy. And like, yeah, just calmly talking about no weird shit, no psychedelic shit, no demons, and just like, yeah, just flat earth. And that's kind of how I rolled into it. And I got really hooked. I realized like, whoa, they're having conversations about flat earth. And it's like, oh my God, that's what I always wanted. I just wanted to be able to talk about flat earth and my ideas with people without them freaking out and basically excommunicating me because they thought their entire life would be destroyed. Yeah? That was all I ever really wanted. And so that's how I rolled in. I made this YouTube account, the original Arwijn account, used this icon that I'm using now for my backup account. I made this in Photoshop. It's all 2015. And then, yeah, I used it. Wait, let me check for a bit. Exactly. So yeah, that was the prelude. You can imagine how long this story is gonna take. May 18, 2016. Yeah. So late 2015, I discovered it, and then late 2015, I got into Flat Earth, Mark Sargent clues, and then after a while, looking around what was there, seeing like Nathan Oakley and David Weiss and Antonio Subarats, and then also Patricia Steer was a big impact on me because, like, yeah, I really like her. And just like an amazing personality and aura to her that I find very appealing to be around. Right, so I then made an account in 2016, May 18th, and started to use it to basically get in the chat. Guess what the first thing I said was? Sun's holographic! The sun's holographic! That's literally how I entered it. Because I was like, yeah, man. I basically read through all this stuff and then remembered pretty much all the ideas that typically spring forth from me in response to that every time I see it. Because the sun being holographic is a realization that I had when I was like 8 with my parents. It's just an idea I rolled out. They were like, huh? And didn't get it. But didn't like poo-poo it either. And then I just forgot about it again. Went on with my life. Didn't talk about it because it would weird everybody out. And then kind of forget about it. But it's just like, I come up with these ideas every time I get confronted with this information. It's like this auto system that's just laid out. And as soon as something like Flat Earth comes, I just get those ideas again. Because that's just the logic of it. Right, so I got into chats. I got to know some people. Really hung around with Antonio Subarats mostly because he was very open with his chat, very interactive, and an interesting storyteller with some weird personality traits and some really bad moments too, very shameful. But that's just like his personality. He had issues, but he was very interesting at times. Not so great with the group dynamics, though. There were group dynamics issues in the entire community. Weird cliques and like people just bullying each other because they didn't like him and then using the group to kind of shame each other. It was all kinds of hassle from the get-go. But I was like, yeah, that's all very cute. I'm not here for the social games. I'm here for my ideas and to manifest them. So I started to make contact with Antonio Subarats through the Hangouts, like got onto his shows sometimes and other people's shows and did some comment managing for David Weiss. I got into contact with David Weiss, and yeah, he needed people to basically manage some of his stuff because it was all getting too much. He was like a kind of ambitious guy, it seemed. Very nice. He still is nice, by the way. It hasn't really changed all that much in that sense. But yeah, he entrusted his password to his account, his main account, to me so that I could manage his comments, which I like to do. I wanted to do that. I wanted to help out. But I was still weirded out because at that time also I'd been doing some Flat Earth talks already with my ideas, and I got basically gripped really badly by my visions that had returned to me. And that had pretty much happened before I started making videos. But just going through all the flat earth things and having people just talk about it openly without fear of retribution directly. I had a lot of fear of retribution. The memory of my friend basically abandoning flat earth because his family got threatened directly in 2012 or 13 somewhere was still fresh in my memory. So I was very fearful, but I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and there's so many people, like, it's gonna be too hard, right? I'll have somebody to fall back on if this all goes wrong. There will be people that will have some eyes on me. So I just went for it. It was very scary for me at the time. I mean, seriously scary for me to actually go on YouTube. I have very freshly ingrained Dark World side responses where the man in black with the beard and all that, the dark figure, literally was like hanging over my shoulder as I was making this account with that symbol and saying, so you choose to die, said to me very seriously. And I'm like, come on. Very fucking scary stuff tied to it for me. It was like, I'm going to die, I'm going to do this, but it's going to get me killed, but I'm going to do it. I had some real fear issues. I basically still do, I just got them much more under control now. This was all very scary to me. Right. But anyway, I got into the community connections, did some email or some YouTube comments, got to learn about the trolls. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I can handle stupid trolls. Right? It was great. Until eventually they started figuring out that I was going after them. And then I got some trolls of my own. They basically discovered me and started fucking around with me in my own chat during my live streams. And that was weird and annoying. But, like, I took it just as a challenge. Right. And so, as that all unfolded, I started to unroll and discover, like really discover in the moment, parts that I had never thought of before. Like the issues with volcanoes and meteors. I've never thought of that before at that point, right? The holographic sun? Yes, definitely. And even weirdly enough, the loop. Because that thing had been like ingrained on my memory through my Dark World visions in the early part. That there was something really weird about the realm. And that I couldn't attain that information through others. I just got to see things, and then I had to like not let my physicality assumption bias, which I didn't know what that was yet because I hadn't actually thought of it yet as a thing. But I felt that was happening, like looking at things, not making my mind up about how it is. I didn't have a mindset where that forced me to put it in a box. Like, oh, it has to be a domed thing, right? This is part of physicality assumption bias. During the vision, I had already spotted that and started to see like there's something really bizarre going on with physical reality. There's a loop. And I felt there's magic there. There's a loop of there's something really weird going on here. That like it's obviously not an edge. And then, like, looking at maps in my vision, like, it just connects up like it's one thing. It's just a thing. You can keep scrolling, almost like a video game, and, like, looping. And that really came through as a concept during my early Flat Earth talks, after the holographic sun, which was really the first concept. And then I discovered Free Energy Channel, who's now Square Earth Cosmology, with these amazing animations that still I'm just like, wow, so early. Somebody made that. He made that. And so I don't know what he's doing. but it's like that was like the first actual animation of a looping system that just completely blew me away, and I kind of regret that the guy never really like contacted me. I at the time I hoped that could have like become a team, but apparently he's very distrustful towards like the mainstreamers like Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer, and I like to hang around with them, and so that never happened, which is very regretful because I mean it's pretty freaking amazing what he's done on his channel. Right. So then it all just proceeded to roll out. Got all the concepts, one by one, dealt with them. The looping mechanics, the expansion on things like the antiquator, right? Very prominent. I'm very proud of that. Of naming all that. Like, cataloging it. Cataloging these concepts. Very proud of that. I mean, that's very close to heart with me. And I did that so early. Right. And then, yeah, some of the node trees started to happen. Hold on. Right. First flat earth debates kind of started up. That was interesting. And then the no trees happened, and I started to realize, like, wait, the history is really much more distorted than I thought it was. It wasn't just, oh, details and the winner rewrite it slightly. No, not slightly. Things have been completely scrubbed, and there are still things from the past that are like utter mysteries. Like nobody gets, like, what the fuck is that? What are these bizarre creatures with faces in their stomach and like all these weird things? Like we just don't get it, and people are like so easy to say, oh, that's just their myths or something. Like, dude, you don't know. It's really, there's been things in the past that are so freaking weird that it just shows that there's much more distortion about history than we knew. And that's when I started to attempt to, like, okay, maybe I can figure out a very rough alternative historical timeline since creation. And kind of threw everything together that I knew, including parts of my visions. So there's like occult influences too that I don't really openly talk about through my visions, because in my visions I got to talk to all kinds of figures that had all kinds of knowledge, like old knowledge and like serious magic knowledge and serious fucked up things too, like really dark death-based magic and shit. I got to talk to like everything in my vision. I mean, it was 80 years and it was also filled with nightmares, but that was also part of it. Maybe the cause of it too, because getting to know about those dark things that it will never share because it's too fucking dangerous. It's like I learned the language of Mordor, but it's really fucking dangerous to use the language of Mordor under any circumstances. That's kind of what it was like. Right, but I'm losing track now. Yeah, I started to figure out and write down the history of the world. And I made a series about it. I had 3 episodes in Flat Earth Talks. Very interesting. It's still an early draft. There's some weird influences in there, some things I've left out. But in retrospect, it's just like creative decision-based influences. They're not really prominent to the overall structure of things. But eventually I summarized it into a history of the world and the dimensions on a Reddit page. And this is that, fuck's sake. Alright, this is that page, so I'm linking you up so you can take a look at that. Let's see if that link works. Yeah, that link works. Good. And so this, technically, there's parts of this that are outdated. It's very similar to what I've put down on my symbolics.nl site, which is like from 2008, way before Flat Earth, not involving that. But there are parts of that pattern that are outdated, and there are parts of that that really stand the test of time. They're fractally implicable. And some of this is that as well. And there's parts of it that are also unwritten. There's more detail that basically I didn't fill in here because it's kind of a bit dark story. Like, I don't know about it. I just chose not to do that. But yeah, this is basically where I landed up. And ever since that moment, it kind of cooled down. I felt like, yeah, I don't really have too many ideas anymore. It's like it's all detail work from that point on. And we get to talk about it, right? On Flat Earth Early Bird Show. It's like, this little detail. Let's get into, like, yeah, looping. What about the parts where you can't get? Non-space? Non-space, right? Non-space could have been a concept that I would have made a show of separately on Flat Earth Talks. The time wasn't ripe yet for it. I couldn't go into that kind of detail. And so I really got deeper into the Flat Earth debates back and forth with ballers. It was a challenge. It was a psychological challenge. It was also needed for me to kind of confront and overcome these fears. These massive fears that were plaguing me because I was getting into Flat Earth and the threats that were looming at my back in the past because of it. So I just got into the Flat Earth debates and really got a bit of a crew together. I became an early part of that, and yeah, and it's like we got together with a group very regularly, and everybody had their own talents and interests and mechanics. I would bring on new ideas, put them down, and everybody would be like, what? Including Nathan. Everybody thought it was really weird at the beginning. But now they realize that I've always been that. I was just very early on trying to roll out things that everybody just didn't get yet. I had to bridge that understanding. There's a bridge to overcome. I had to get closer. I had to get better at explaining things and figuring out how to communicate such information to people instead of just throwing it out raw. Right. So that's what I started doing on the Flat Earth debates. And then, yeah, we figured out gradually by confrontation of the ballers these bizarre, interesting figures like Rumpus and other anti-flat earthers. But Rumpus really fascinated me from the start a lot because he was like really smart. Like really, I mean, Rumpus is really freaking smart. Oh, how dare you, he's a pretender clown idiot. Yeah, he's also that, but he's also really smart. He's just not in control of his own mind. He's like trapped in his own mind. But he's really freaking smart when he's just able to do his thing. And he was less polluted back then. It was pretty fresh. And he really believed in the globe. He was just really deeply indoctrinated into the mechanisms on how to reinforce that. And that also kind of rekindled my old enthusiasm for the ball. And then I dared to come out with Baldwin. Like, no, I'm going to argue for the ball today. And we're like, what? He's gone crazy. Arwyn's gone crazy. He's suddenly a baller now. Like, dude, some of you that have followed me for a long time might remember what kind of hassle and drama back then was. Like, people like, oh, you're suddenly defending the ball. How dare you? And that was like not trolls doing that. That was like all the flat earthers. They were really anxious for people to suddenly switch around and shit. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever. And I've normalized Baldwin on the flat earth debates over the years by just doing it, and people eventually figured out, like, hey, there's an advantage to this, and it became a thing. And now the guys can be like that too for short bursts. So I spread all of that. And then, yeah, really, during that time, we started to figure out the really detailed mechanics. And suddenly celestial navigation came back to me. I started to remember, like, yeah, when I was like somewhere between 8 and 12, my parents, like, yeah, we went to some place and did something like that with celestial navigation. But I just gave me a headache back then. But it got back to me a bit, learned about that. And before that also just the argument about the horizon, which lasted forever, of course. Very fascinating, really, to just look into optics, just look at the picture, see what it is you're actually seeing, see how seeing works on itself, right? So, yeah, holographic sun, horizon not being geometric, how perspective works, optics, refraction and diffraction, and then things, yeah, gravity came as a subject, really, and I was like embracing, like, no, gravity is just, it's a concept, but it's there. And then QE basically we got connected with that through Nathan, and we started to get reacquainted with the scientific method and how rigid it really is, which reminded me of a time when I was like 15 or 16, and my brother explained to me the rigidity of the scientific method, and I tried to, like, yeah, but what if it's just this, and like, no, it has to be a naturally occurring phenomenon. Like, my brother would say that to me, and I would be like, yeah, but what about Einstein gravity? Why isn't that scientific? Because it's mathematical. But can't that be scientific? No. And my brother got really irritated because I kept on pushing it. So that memory also got back to me through getting reacquainted on the flat earth debate with the scientific method. So lots of flashbacks during the whole my whole situation here on YouTube. During all of it, lots of flashbacks to way back in the past, my past. And yeah, Black Swan, gravity, what is it? It's not a force apparently, and it's just conceptual, right? Which is kind of a bummer, because it's, gravity is a complete dead end. And then I figured out, wait, this is an aberration. People just latch onto it because it is an aberration. I latched onto it because I wanted it to be real. An aberration. And that's when I first rolled out one of my very important conceptions, or like a compass, a psychological compass, you could say. And that is the concept of an aberration. Now, an aberration means several types of things in different fields. But in the field of physics and psychology combined, it is definitely designated to that, the way that I designate it. And it is basically things you run into, ideas or mechanisms that are highly suggestible to you, that automatically appeal to you by inferring other structures, but yet you will never be able to prove those other structures. So they're just staring at you like a fata morgana. And that is an aberration, and gravity is a big one of those. It's been weaponized. It's something that's just like suggestible, you can understand the mechanism, you can calculate with it, but technically it's just incorrect. It isn't there. Because what's really going on is relative density, which is very much scientific based, very provable, and complete, right? Advanced relative density explains the full works of the passive displacement in the realm. And what happens when you accelerate a medium, it all compounds together. Right. So that was like happening then, right? Holographic sun, black swan, gravity, that it doesn't exist, that's relative density. And then what happened then? Yeah, celestial navigation. And after that point, yeah, also, by the way, before that already, the Arwinian paradox during the Black Swan days, of course. Big one. Very proud of that. Very, very honored, very happy that Nathan actually named that. I know he's playing with it now, like, oh, Brian came up with it first. Yeah, it's so very cool. But in all those videos, we call it the Arwinian paradox, because it is. So you can joke about it all you like. I claimed it. Because it is there and spoken as Arwinian paradox. So you can't call dibs anymore. It's just there. It's mine. Right. Right. Yeah, early bird show. During all of that, starting this project of just being available here every day, being available for mental sparring, for questions, right? I mean, that's basically it. Like, I can answer questions, can help you illuminate certain details you would like to know things about, especially concerning Flat Earth or the community, psychological. And yeah, that's basically how I ended up here. And now it's the 1600th episode. Don't think I really missed any details that are really significant. I think that's a pretty good summary altogether. Why does it say boink? Didn't I turn that sound off? How do you turn that stupid boink sounds off in Skype? I thought I had to turn off. Notification sounds. Right, that one. You're off. And you're out. Alrighty then. No more stupid sound notifications. It's so disruptive during a stream. Anyway. Hello, Dank. That bad guy. Duke Harpoons, goody. Did I have a long-term plan? No. Well, my long-term plan is hope like that I'd become functional enough and improve upon myself eventually to really become like an internet personality and gain support that way. And that way be able to basically live through the chaos of the world that was getting worse and worse. I knew it was going to get worse. So it's always been like, can I survive this craziness? And well, it's been kind of on the edge so far. And I've often been wondering, like, is it because of the quality of my show that people just don't really find it worth it? Is it that I typically just don't go with the hordes? Like, even on Christianity, right? I mean, there's pretty much a lot of Christians around, And I'm like going right against it in that sense. Not that I like hate Christ, I absolutely don't. It's just that I hate idolatry. I hate people not listening to Christ properly and just going by these preconceived interpretations that contradicts logic. Right? I'm not the only one, but I mean that does rub people the wrong way, and I think that maybe that is really, if I hadn't done that, if I would have just cocked to the Satan Christ beliefs, right, to the Antichrist beliefs, because I think that's what it is, then yeah, I might have gotten around a lot better. But that wasn't meant to be, and I'd feel really fucking miserable if I would have had to do that. Only rub salads. Yeah, but I'm very happy that, like, I'm glad with you guys. I'm glad that there's plenty of guys that are, like, good with that are still with me. But it's not a lot of people, if you know what I mean. And it's not like I'm getting like money thrown at me a lot. It used to be better. Really. It's actually in the times in the early bird years when I just got monetized and started to use PayPal and all that, I got more support than I do now. Also from random people. But it might also be because just the world's gone to shit. Right? Got the medical situation that really busted a lot of people up financially. And yeah, and the financial, the crazy societal breakdown, financial blockade, financial siege that the elite is now imposing upon most of the world, or trying to, has really not help people's financial situation. So it could be just because of that. I'm not entirely sure like how the overall support is out there compared to, say, 4 years ago. I'm not super up to date with other people's income situation concerning YouTube and all that. Right? But I personally really hope it's gonna get back, because it's just very annoying to continually have just, yeah, a very little bit amount of money and then just not get anxious about it anymore. Like, I mean, technically, if you compare myself to like 5 years ago, I have made massive progress against my financiophobia, which I called it, which is like I don't really know how to deal with money. Like, money shortage and all that makes me very anxious and dysfunctional. It's very, very agitating, and like I don't know how to deal with taxes at all. It gives me a massive headache every time, even though technically it should be very simple. I mean, when I have help with it, it turns out to be simple, but I just can't do it. Right? But overall, it's been a pretty rough ride financially, and still, I've managed to contain it much better. I don't panic as much about it, but I'm not doing super great or anything financially, guys. I could really use more support. I mean, also more support means more things that I can do. Right? Anyhow, support me through the PayPal and the Patreon too. But PayPal especially, it's really helpful. And it is the support from you guys and gals, followers and friends, that is making this possible for me to just do this. Without it, I mean, this is not gonna help. Like, this is not gonna work out. Anyway, what are you guys talking about? I think I'm done with the story. Arwijn on YouTube. It's taken 15 minutes. What the hell was Duper Poons doing there? That was weird. Was he trying to respond to everything that I mentioned, like when I summarized the gravity and the horizon? Seems like he tried to respond to that and then he just left. That guy's crazy. Do any of my 1600 shows stand out as being memorable? Being the memorable? Well, just look at the... You timed them out? Yeah, that's fine. But just look at the titles. Look at the titles and remember. The most memorable shows are the ones that have really memorable titles. That's just a fact. There's a lot of memorable shows. I mean, it was very memorable for me when I started to basically define spirit mechanics. But also very memorable for me was the last show I did on my main account before I got all the strikes and all that shit. Which was basically me figuring out the technique that I still apply every day now, and that's had a dramatic positive influence on my overall well-being. So when there's that many episodes, Steamy Traveler, you just can't say anymore like, oh, this one is the best. It's just impossible. There's so 1600 shows, man. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of really memorable shows, but I'd have to like look through it and know. And the title is a big indicator, right? That's how I used it. The title is like a sort of a map signal. It's like, oh, this one's memorable. See, this is what it's composed of. That's just how I work. Oh yeah, the hidden gem in the magic collection. Right. Yep. It's kind of funny to me. I mean, I'm leaving it there. I'm not using that. But yeah, that's interesting. That was really unexpected. It's kind of funny how that worked out. Because I got those cards when I was still with my ex. For much less. So they like went up in price like 600% or something. 700. It was pretty incredible. No, 1,000 even. Anyway, that's fun. It's not really super meaningful though. I guess it's very appealing to people like, oh, look, dig through old shit. Oh, wow, it turns out something is really valuable. Yeah, there's entire TV shows of that sort of thing. right? Like old storage stuff, and then like, oh, what do you bid? And then you bid for the storage, and then the one is gonna buy it and then see if there's anything valuable. Yeah, there's a whole shows about that. I get that. You like it when Riley joins? Right. Well, I had some people on the early bird show, but that was like really early, like the first few hundred. After that, just nobody had time anymore. I already like showed my rage win and all that, and after that, everybody just kind of like didn't really feel super comfortable connecting up. Never really changed. I think that I am kind of intimidating as a person, or like unstable, unreliable because of that. Ever since, I'm not sure. I don't know if people care, but I don't really get a lot of people, other flat earthers out there over the floor. You might have noticed, right? Guys, you must be noticing that. You guys are here, but it's not like there's well-known flat earth channel people coming to visit my chat, like ever. You'd be lucky to have a visit from Nathan Oakley himself. Am I right? So yeah, apparently I am not very connectable to people out there. A Dutch sailor? Yeah, Dutch sailor that was cool. What happened to Stas Moretz? Oh, he's still out there. I only got to know Stas Moretz like in the last year. So I don't know Stas that long. But I'm sure he's gonna pop back up. What about you? What about you, Cleary? Was Cleary guessed? No. No, Cleary's just being a smartass and a troll. Yes, Flare Sage, I did see that. And they said also that the moon landing from the Americans were fake. I did see that. Yeah, it's not funny, Cleary. Right. Anyway, I got some salad bowl here. I'm gonna chow down on this for a while. I've been talking for like an hour straight. Hey, getting wisdom. Oh, so good. Hey, Jado. How long have I been on this backup? For like a month now. I mean, this is 54 episodes later than my last show on my main account. I did a bit on DLive, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not sure. And then at some point I transitioned to this account. I left a message about this in the comments section of my last video. You've missed heaps? Yeah. Anyway, welcome back. You don't know how we do it day after day? Well, just think of it, this is like basically the time that I have the most social interaction of my entire day. Because I don't really have friends out there or anything that I like hang around with and chat with all day. I'd be lucky to have a conversation with some of my roommates in a day. So how can I manage it? Well, by looking forward to it. It's like the time in the day that I really get to talk. Use my vocal cords. To me, it's a great moment of opportunity for skill development, for relieving social tension. Because if I don't have any contact with other people, tension builds up and I become anxious socially. So I need it for that. And, well, financial, of course. I mean, the support also definitely makes it worth it. Even if I don't always get something. Do I consider you friends and looking forward to the feedback? Yeah, a lot. And also, in ways you are my ears and eyes. Right? I'm not a great star when it comes to like searching things on the internet. I'm not great. A lot of you guys are really good at it. And it's extremely helpful. I really suck at looking things up. I mean, I can like Google mechanical things and all that. That seems to work like fine. but like finding things in general, or like good news sources or anything. Like, I am a bit alienated to the internet in that sense. Like 10 years ago, I still kind of got the internet. Now it's become so cryptic. All these different platforms, what people think, what people do, and just also the amount of artificial internet activity with bots just to prop up things and all that. It's become so messy to me. I'm just like, it's a jungle to me, and I'm like not good at finding things. And I really need other people's experience in dealing with the jungle to properly find things. It's just a fact. I'm not great at looking things up on the internet. Online friend? Yeah, sure. I try to be. Right? And also, as a friend on the internet, I'm specifically not that type of friend that's always nice and because he really wants your financial support, right? I get rough. I'm very confronting. And I'm not shy to basically shame somebody right on the spot in front of everybody when they thought they were really doing great. I'll just do that. And people get really fucking pissed off, like in a personal way. You did too, Clutch. Right? You know that you did. You got really fucking pissed off with me. It's insidious. And now you're back. And it's like, yeah, that happens all the time. And in a way it's better. It's like you get inoculated to how I'm like. Because that's gonna keep, it's how I do things. And people are just not used to that. Right? But in my opinion, in my memory, that's what real friends do. Real friends take that risk of being less than popular in the moment to confront somebody with something that's really necessary. That's what real friends do. Right? Real friends say things to their friends that may risk them getting punched in the face for it. That's what a real friend actually does. A real friend goes there. A real friend confronts, where everybody just like, oh, I don't want to get involved. So that's part of my friendship, of what I do. And yeah, a lot of people get pissed off at times. Sometimes I'm just not doing great and I'll still be confronting, but while being kind of miserable, and then everybody's like, I hate you, Arwijn. Why do you have to be like that? And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I'm not gonna change it though. I will recover for it, and then if there's any apologies that need to be made, I will make them. But I will not bend or break in the moment. I will not lose control on my show like that to somebody else. I mean, I might lose control, like they might go ballistic a little, but I'm not gonna lose control to somebody else. Because as soon as I start doing that, the trolls will immediately start jumping in and try to mind control the shit out of it. Because that's what they're all looking for. That's how they want to take me down. I just have to give them an inch and they'll take everything. Anyway. Right. Yeah, Richard G. I mean, look, dangers of technology were getting very apparent since radio. It was starting to shine through how easily people would be manipulable, how easy they got manipulated by just the voice coming out of a box, which is a one-way communication, right? That's the big difference. When you're there, somebody's talking, you could choose to say something back. With the radio, you can't do that. And that's already where the whole social engineering opportunities started popping up. So that's during radio. Radio's been around for a while. Right? And before that already, social engineering was like at its peak of development in the 1900s. No, Cleary, I have not. Not sure that is media. Yeah, of course that's media manipulation. That's overtly. Plato was warning about the dangers of poetry. That's hilarious. Okay, the bad guy. What? What are you guys talking about? Right, but the point of it all is that we all have grown up, no exception, all of us have grown up in a post-natural world where basically everybody that's been born, that's present here in the chat right now, and myself included, have all grown up in a world that was from scratch, socially engineered. Right? Nobody's ever been through natural original school like that, because there's now government social engineering everywhere. That's pretty much happened during the 20th century. That's when that really started, right? It's also when Rockefeller Foundation made their move on the medical system. Schooling, all these things became standardized. That's because of social engineering. So we all have grown up in a social engineering based world. None of us know what it's like to actually live in a natural world like that, where teaching is just teaching and where working is just working. None of us. Arguably your own parents, if you're a bit older, or your grandparents. None of them. Maybe if you're like a boomer, then your grandfather or mother or something, they lived pre. They lived, like, if they still lived in the 19th century, they may have slipped by the social engineering. They managed to avoid war and all that. But in the 20th century, everybody has gone through a socially engineered system from scratch. Anybody here ever stand in the corner as a punishment? I think I have once. But I'll still mostly remember that during my Waldorf school time, we had like this interesting weird teacher who was also apparently a flat earther. But yeah, can you imagine, like in the late 80s, right? But he used to send us running around the school as a punishment. He wouldn't like put you in the corner, but he's like, yeah, you just go run 2 circles around the school. What? Well, it worked really well because it would tire you out, and because people would get like hyperactive and disruptive, and he'd just do that. Much more functional than sending them in the corner of the class, which would be highly frustrating, stressful, and not productive. So it just like, yeah, just go running around the schools 2 circles, or like, yeah, collect 200 acorns. Really. It's really weird tasks like that, but it would be very effective. Very unpleasant if it was terrible weather, but he'd still make us do that, like even if it were raining. It's like, yeah, you should have known. It's raining out there. You should have known not to talk outside of your turn, so now you're gonna get wet. Makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. No, he was very practical. He was a very smart man. Hyperactive, emotional, very sensitive. He reminded me a lot about me. And I was able to like connect with him on a higher level because he had like this very serious feeling of a mission, like a struggle. He had a very serious struggle. And he also suffered from pain sometimes. He was a very smart guy. Very enthusiastic, energetic, brave. I very much appreciated the guy. And he had very silly moods too sometimes. Where he'd just get really silly. Almost clownish. But then if you'd like make fun of his clownishness, he would immediately send you running circles around the building. It was very weird, but very interesting. Jet washing the garden? Okay. So you're spraying the whole place, I guess, with a hose? Anyway, hope you guys are enjoying the show. Can you explain the refraction argument? Okay, truth over comfort. Welcome to my chat. Good question. If you need that explained. So, the refraction argument. I'm take it you're gonna you want to know about why ballers say refraction when you say, hey, the observation violates the geometry of ball Earth, right? Am I correct with that? Truth over comfort? That is what you want to know about when they say refraction? Yes, all right. Well, the thing is, when ballers say refraction, they're actually, well, straw manning a bit, because they're not actually meaning the real refraction, right? Real refraction in optics is, well, the pathway of light, how it manifests when it hits a hard medium, like when it changes medium, say from air to glass or water, some other medium that has a different refraction index, right? And usually the higher the density, but still transparent, the higher the refraction index, and that causes the angle of incidence of light to change as it transverses the other medium, right? So it might enter like this, but it goes out like that. That's called refraction. It's the bending of light because of medium change. That's actual refraction. That's official. That's optics, right? Well, the thing is, the ballers have basically hijacked that conception and created it into transformed it, mutated it into a fictional concept that has actually no place in reality. It doesn't exist. What they suggest is, with their refraction, is called terrestrial refraction, if you say it more officially. You can look that up through what's it again? Thomas Young? I'm not sure. I'm bad with all those names. Anyway, Thomas Young talked about it. Terrestrial refraction is a suggestion that light doesn't just change mediums, but that it also bends. That it bends in a curve that is perfectly consistent with the radius of Earth that they assume to be. So terrestrial refraction is the suggestion that light bends around the globe in perfect lockstep, so that optically it seems like it's all straight. Yeah? It's basically the ultimate gaslighting straw man trick, trying to fool you in the moment, saying like, yeah, no, see why the Earth turns out to be so flat looking, right? You have this camera, you have it right at 1 feet above sea level, you point it horizontally, and look, there's the beach of that other part of the land, like 11 kilometers away. Or look, there's the oil platform. You can still see most of it, even though you're 1 feet above the ocean, right? Black swan. Well, they suggest with terrestrial refraction that light actually bends circularly around the globe, making it look perfectly flat. So it is like, yeah, you know the Earth is flat, or the Earth is a sphere because it looks so flat. That is actually the motto, the secret motto of terrestrial refraction. But here's the thing. Light doesn't bend in a circle. Actual refraction is never circular. It's an angle change, right? Medium change, angle of the light changes. Now this doesn't happen if there's no radical medium alteration, right? So if there's no hard surface, then there is no angle change. Well, they suggest through terrestrial refraction that light through a homogeneous layer bends. And that is absurd. It's exactly the opposite of what it does, yeah? The medium would not be homogeneous. It would have to be continually changing dramatically right? Oh, another medium. Oh, it changes angle. Oh, another medium. It changes angle again. Another. And that would have to happen all around the presupposed ball Earth in order for actual refraction to have a terrestrial refraction effect. But it doesn't, of course, because you can look straight over the ocean and you can be pretty damn sure that the amount of density of the gases and the water vapor that is over the ocean is very consistent. So there is no radical medium change in order for light to be able to change corners all the time and go around the globe. It's just going in a straight line because the medium you're looking through is pretty damn homogeneous. So there is no actual terrestrial refraction, light bending like a sphere around a sphere. That can't happen. The conditions are not there for that to be able to be physically possible through optics. And that, yeah, but ballers of course ignore that endlessly, right? And the Kumo virus here knows all that too well. Yeah, what? The light bends, but you see with the straight line of sight. Yeah, nice self-contradicting statements eventually roll out of there. But anyway, that is terrestrial refraction. It's the opinion that the R-based calculation, the presupposition of the radius of sphere Earth, which they have no actual evidence for, using that radius information to calculate how the light must be bending as it is going around the sphere Earth, in order to explain why you have such massive, long, flat plane sights. That's why they made the excuse of terrestrial refraction. So I hope that explains. Hope that answered all your questions about it. Truth over comfort. If there's anything else you want me to elaborate on concerning terrestrial refraction, then please say so. Right. You butchered. No, I didn't. No, I didn't, Akumo virus. I did not butcher your argument. That's exactly what your argument is. It's R-based presuppositional light bending in order to explain why the actual sights reveal a perfectly flat plane. That's terrestrial refraction. Is atmospheric refraction made up, or is it? Well, atmospheric refraction is terrestrial refraction. It's pretty much what it is. Atmospheric refraction, or they call it terrestrial refraction, that is the idea that light bends around the globe. It doesn't. It's a fictional construct. It's not actually proven with optics. It's a Frankenstein's monster made with parts of refraction turned into a mockery. Right? How's the 1600 show going? Great. Great, until you popped in and started talking your nonsense. It was just great. So yeah, truth over comfort. Atmospheric refraction, terrestrial refraction is made up. Light doesn't bend. It only changes angle if there's a radical medium change. That's actual refraction, proven with optics. So they need R in order to claim terrestrial. That's right. And from that comes the funnily enough, comes the Arwinian paradox. Right? The Arwinian paradox is that in order to attain the R value, the radius of Earth value, you need to measure the horizon. You need to measure the horizon of sphere Earth in order to know the radius of Earth, right? Because yeah, you could calculate and presuppose all you like, that's really cute. But if it's actually a sphere, then you're going to have to measure that sphere. But you see, if it's refracted, if the horizon is not actually in its geometric location, well, then you can't use the horizon in order to establish the radius value that you require in terrestrial refraction. So terrestrial refraction is literally self-defeating because it has a radius value in it which you cannot attain because of the existence of terrestrial refraction. It's a paradox. It's literally a mathematical paradox. It requires a value that because of its existence, it cannot attain. Arwinian paradox. Shut up, Akumu. You're not welcome here with your blabber nonsense. I don't care if you're too bald-hearted to get this after having talked about this and heard about this for thousands of hours. I'm not here to entertain your mental illness, Akumu virus. I'm here to explain to somebody else that still has their senses about. Argument. Yeah, dude, get yourself checked into a care facility, Akumu virus. I'm not gonna try to help you with your doublethink mental illness. Yeah? I don't care for your opinions about refraction. You're a double-speaking pretender clown muppet. And I'm not sure whether you're lying or just fucking insane. But I'm not here to entertain your insanity. I'm here to explain it to somebody that's asking and still has their wits about. Right? I don't care. Stop spamming up my chat. Right, so hope that clears things up. Truth over comfort. Any more questions about terrestrial refraction? Did I make the Arwinian paradox clear enough for you to get it? Yeah, no, he was just trying to strawman the shit out of the terrestrial. He just wants to fuzzy it up. It's not gonna happen. Don't give a fuck about what he has to say about it. Like, ever. Don't know what the hell he did to himself in the face of that argument, but I don't want that involved in what I do here. Because it's all garbage. And every time he does it, it makes me, well, tell him, like, dude, you need some help. I mean, you need some serious help with that. Not joking. It's fucking insane. It's like really bad insane. Like actual official insanity if you keep doing that. Right. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. That's what I'm here for. Right? To clarify things, to help explain things. Conceptions, especially relating to flat earth and flat earth debates. As long as it's not too mathematical, that would be appreciated. Because I'm not a real star at math. I'm not about the numerical values, for example. Not into that. I'm more about structure of how things work, and explaining that verbally. Not about mathematical formulas at all. Or metric. It's just not my thing. If you want to know about that, go to Brian's Logic. He is into that. Go to Refracted Curvature John. He's really into that too. Those guys are really good with math. Or Adam Meakin. They love it. Me? Not me. I mean, I could probably technically do it, but it would take me some time to get into that, and it would leave me with a very agitated mood, because I don't like it. I don't like math. It oversimplifies things a lot, and people really latch onto the oversimplification of it. And I won't have it. I won't do that. Anyway. Isn't the refraction excuse a circular logical fallacy? Circular? Well, yeah, the Arwinian paradox. Yeah, it is a circular logical fallacy, effectively. It's like, yeah, but it just looks flat because it's refracted. Well, if it just looks flat because it's refracted, then how do you know it's a sphere? If you can't measure it as a sphere. Well, you just presuppose. Okay, so you just presuppose a radius value that you can't actually measure because you think it's refracted. So it's all based on presuppositions that can never be proven then. Why, yes, of course. That's the globe earth religion. It's the religion of presupposition. You just assume it's a globe. Here are the parameters that you're supposed to assume, and just stick to that. Right? It's all about the presuppositions and just holding on to them and making excuses for them to adapt information to fit the presuppositions. That's the entire religion. It's a religion of presupposition. Right? It's not about figuring out what's real. It's about figuring out how you can make measured reality adapt logically through math and whatever and formulas into proving that the Earth is a sphere. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Right. I hope all you guys have been enjoying my show. Been going for an hour 40 minutes. I can still go on some longer. Did have an Illuminati croissant before the show. What is the temperature? Actually, I didn't check. Let me check the temperature. Way at the end of my show. $22 degrees. Yeah, it's still warm. Thought so. Oh, it's gonna cool down on Monday though. According to this, back to 15 degrees and rain. But then after that, it seems like the next, it's gonna go back up to 21 degrees next Sunday. So I think it's gonna be a very nice set of weeks this April. The rest of this May. I mean, it's May. Great show today. Yeah, thanks. I agree. Very happy with it. It was good also to basically do the summary of my history, because like every time I think back, it is consistent. I mean, you can compare what I've said now to every time I look back in over the last few decades of my life, what has happened. I mean, it is very consistent. I might be slightly off with some of the years, but I mean, the order of it all, I've got it all consistent, and a lot has happened. Psychologically, especially with me over the decades, a lot, including really messed up things, like around my 20, like that, starting 2097 to 2003. I mean, that was a messed up period for me. A lot of crazy things with a lot of really bad delusions from my side that have probably contributed to a lot of terrible agony type things and conflict resolution, according to German New Medicine, that I have been subjected to over the years. It's all echoes from the past, from terrible things. And in a sense, I deserve it. Or deserve it, or rather, it's necessary to go through that to fix it. It's all a matter of perspective, really. I mean, but yeah, it's been consistent. And I really did get confronted with flat Earth many times, and then just like, there's nobody in the world I can talk to about it. And then just forget about it again. Just go back to space. Just go back to thinking about space stations and building a space bridge and just forget about flat Earth. That would just happen every time. It's multiple times throughout my life. So no, that's a good one, Truth Over Comfort. It is definitely a circular logical fallacy, and arguably a paradox. It's a mathematical paradox, right? They put the R in terrestrial refraction, the value of it, but because they do that, they can't get that R value anymore. And that's the Arwinian paradox. You can call the Arwinian paradox a circular logical fallacy. $29? Jeez, Clutch. Yeah, that is pretty warm. Well, better make use of it, right? Make sure you have plenty of water for the plants and all that in the garden. And let the herbs and the fruits grow. Now's the time. I mean, me too. I'm like continually watering my plants, and they're growing like crazy. I mean, this basil has grown like at least 10 centimeters since I got it, which is now, was it 3 weeks ago or something? Ah, that's a funny one. LSG refraction is the chicken, the radius is the egg. Which came first? That's hilarious. Shut up, Akumovirus. Just shut the fuck up. Stop this delusional gaslighting. It's not working. I got it right. And if you disagree, then you got it wrong. Stop trying to propagandize us with your stupid lies. We're not buying it. And you shouldn't be buying your lies either. Yeah, you do. You do gaslight, Akumovirus. You absolutely do. Don't fucking laughy face at me, liar. Gonna get another timeout. Right. Anyhow, hope everybody enjoys the show here, and if you can support me on my 1600th episode, that would be great. I could really use the support. I really need it. I mean, I still got a bill in front of me for next week that I technically cannot pay, let alone the food for the coming week. I'm okay this weekend because of the support I got. Yeah, that's gonna reach till Monday. After that, I mean, I'm broke, guys. I tried to tell you. I've been holding back a lot, also because I was, well, emotionally unstable for a while, right? And then I don't like to bring that up. It'll just make me really miserable. So I just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna eat less anyway because of that. But, I mean, I'm out of that. And yeah, the situation's not super great. Now, however, after this month, it should be restored a lot, because I'm supposed to get my vacation money now, because they hold back on my social welfare a little bit every month and then just pile it on at the last moment, which should be like, I don't know, 400, 500 euros. I'm gonna need all of that to pay my bills off. Except bill is coming probably a little bit too soon, because they demand, like, you have to pay it now, you're gonna get a big fine, and that's the 20th, when usually I get my money in the 21st up to the 24th. So I got a bit of a problem, and that's beside just needing to have money for the next week to, I don't know, eat, buy smokes, that sort of thing. I got stuff for now, but it's gonna run out this week quickly. So some support would be great. Thank you. Anyhow, let's get back to what we're talking about. As a new listener, Richard, you're not really a new listener. You've been listening to me for like at least half a year, maybe more. Time has flown. I got a lot of people, and some of you have been around quite a while. I mean, George Sanford is probably like the guy that's been hanging around the longest on a regular basis. I mean, Cleary's been around too, but I mean, he's kind of a troll. Don't always like having him around. Dank also. Dank has been a very old supporter. I mean, I remember Dank from like he was around even like during Early Bird 82. So Dank has been around for like many years now, supporting me too. Godzilla's more recent. Clutch, I know you for a while. I've known you for years. That's also like through Good Servant. Rest in peace. May you rest in peace, of course. But yeah, a lot of people that were just regular followers, they kind of split away from me. Also because of opinions I've had about, or yeah, more expounded upon ideas and opinions concerning Christianity. They've been rolling out for like at least a year or two. Very careful, because it rubs people very wrongly. Especially if they're like really fanatical into the doctrines like that. To the riddles that I reject. Vehemently. I don't know. So, for example, I haven't seen Julio Pabon around in a long time. But he still seems to support FED. Listen, about 5 months before commenting. Wow. Right. Right. Yeah, you're a bit shy, LSG, but that's cool. It's been great having you around. Yeah, I know, LSG. I'm not trying to pull it out of you, man. If you got it, you got it. You've given me very generously in the past. And then the problem is that I become like, oh, that's gonna be regular now, Hope, right? I'm very basically, if you give me a lot, I'm gonna expect a lot. It's just a natural response because, well, I'm kind of desperate for good income sources like that. But yeah, it's if it's just not possible, it's not possible. I'm not gonna hold that against you, of course. I'm just gonna hope you're gonna get lucky again, right? I mean, that's just what it is. Right. So in that sense, I pray you all get like real upturns in your respective professions. I really do. I hope you guys just have opportunities. They'll find you, and people will like recognize your qualities, and maybe because of your association with me, there will be something over you that just makes them want to give you a better position. So I hope you all get promoted and have a real upturn in your respective professions so that you have more income and then can send me more. Right? Win-win. I mean, all of you would probably love to have like a real upturn in your professions. I mean, who wouldn't? But yeah, when it can't happen, it can't happen. But if it can, I'll definitely be pushing that on the other side. Because I do want all of you to do better, and I mean it, right? And that's why it works, because I actually mean it. It's not just like, oh, grow faster so I can strip you like some herb plant, right? No. And I don't even do that with my own herb plants, right? Because I love them. I really want them to grow just because I want them to grow. And if there's something that I need from them, it's almost like I do it with a little regret. It's like, but it was doing so great, and now I have to cut a part off to eat. And feel a bit guilty because I'm like, sorry, plant, you're doing so great. I got the same with you guys. So, yeah, good vibrations. Hope everybody just does great. And use this momentum, use this energy momentum of the spring. It's a time to manifest, time to put yourself out there. And I'm projecting a bit because I should be doing that myself. This is the time for me to start bumping into women, if you know what I mean. It would work. Hopefully, if I'm ready for that. I mean, in a way, I've become very alienated with social life like that, hanging around other people. So I'm always like trying to think of like, okay, if I met a girl and I found her really attractive, like, how could that go wrong? Would it go wrong because they were too great and made me feel miserable about myself, that I'm not accomplished or thriving like they are? I'm not gonna steal that. Or would it like get stuck and just be too simple for me and I'd get bored? Because those are the two directions all relations have taken in my past. So I'm gonna try to size candidates up with those measuring sticks. And I actually kind of strive to find somebody that will be like really thriving and then overcome the intimidation of that for myself. I tried to do that with my ex. That did actually work partially, but also it didn't work, and that's how I kind of collapsed and then got into like being ashamed for myself, and that really was super destructive because that's something that she was extremely intolerant of. Shame. Like, yeah. Anyway, Puzzling. Bumping into. Yeah. Dag. I'm not like that anymore. I'm not like gonna walk up to a woman and then like, yeah, hi, I'm gonna try to keep you busy until you're ready to get fucked by me. Like, I'm not like that. So you mean maybe like if I was like at a party and a little bit drunk, then I might get a little like that. But in general, no, not at all. I'm overall really more interested in like the feeling part, in romance. Then I'm just sex. I mean, sex is pointless. It is really pointless unless it has meaning, unless that you're infused with actual passion and dreams. If you don't have that, sex is just fucking lame and draining. It just drains you. It doesn't give you anything, right? So no, I don't really care about that. But yeah, I realize that saying bumping into definitely creates some associations. Got a date with splitting mall and pile dogs. Okay, awesome, LSG. Good. Yeah, thanks for being here and talk to you later. Right. Anyway, the point is use the spring energy. That's social opportunity, manifestation opportunity. It's like it's the time to attempt to dominate because everybody's expecting that. It's the time of the year to do that. It will be accepted with less hostility on average if you do that now. Because people are expecting it. It's the time of the year. So try to use it. Right? There's these things that you've been like, oh, I've been staring at it for a while, wanted to do that, but like never was too sure whether I should. Well, now is the time to try it. This is the time. Because it's springtime and like new things can manifest. And people will be on average more accepting of it. Because it's springtime. Right. So I hope you all take that to heart. Past the 2-hour mark. I could round out the show. It's up to you guys. Just let me know in chat. Should I continue on a little bit more or shall I call it for the day? Two more hours? That's a bit long. I'll get really hungry. I'm already kind of hungry. Enjoying the show over lunch? Cool. What? Oh my god, it's really Lewis. freaking hilarious. I haven't seen you in ages. Yeah, Lewis Hackett is a guy that's been a Flat Earth debate panelist from the ball side. It's been like years since I last seen you. I'm glad you haven't succumbed to any medical experimentation and are still around. Or maybe it was just that was as far as your own bravery goes, is making that one remark. Maybe you've sunk deeper into Gamma. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Most ballers do, especially after getting treated on the Flat Earth debates. You pretty much all turn completely insane. Okay. You're gonna pull dandelions? That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I don't really have anything planned too elaborate. I'm just gonna enjoy the day and take care of the plants. Well, I've pretty much already done that. Try to not go to bed too late. Maybe try to find some movie to watch. I watched Oblivion again yesterday. I haven't seen that since I first saw it. Saw it originally in the movie theater, was it? No, wait, no, not Oblivion. That was the other one. But yeah, it's a well-crafted movie. Very high tech. Watched that yesterday night. But no, I don't really have anything specific planned. Man, it's getting really clouded up. I think it might rain later. Also see trail remnants. Right, anyway. Amazing performance as always. Thank you, Lewis Hackett. I know. I'm having a great show today. Well, why didn't you try it out? Why didn't you try it out doing a 2-hour show every day for 1,600 shows in a row? Yeah, by the way, Dank, I mean, he's trying to be sarcastic. It's just not really working. I mean, I had a great show. I laid down a whole bunch of things, my whole history, very succinctly. It only took me 50 minutes to do that. Yeah. And explained something about terrestrial refraction, what it is, how it's a misconception. I could have also tackled gravity, but I already did that a few days ago. Seems like yesterday you hit 1,000 shows. Well, not exactly. I mean, that is kind of almost 2 years ago. Not exactly like yesterday. But it's pretty bizarre thinking that I've been roughly doing this every day for 5 years. Half a decade. That is pretty impressive, if I say so myself. And not all of it was like great, and sometimes I'm really weakened and I'm like, I don't feel great, I'm still gonna do the show. Yeah, it's not always super great, I know. But even those times, I still get moments in between that are good. Yeah, every day, that's right, Lewis Hackett. Every day. Yeah, I've done this show every day. Except for times that I was really sick. That I was too sick to do the show. Persist win. Well, persistence is win. So, yeah. Alright, anyhow, some support would be great. If anybody could miss it. I'm not gonna say, hey, come on, skeptic, get back here, I need your support again. But he does seem to be supporting me a lot in recent times. Or, well, he's been the predominant supporter, and I really do appreciate that. Wish there were some other people around that could also afford to do that. Or would care enough about what I do to do that for me, and not just all the other channels. Right, I might not be the most interesting videographer here. It's mostly just, yeah, the background and me on the screen talking and doing some hand gestures and all that. I'm not really a video reviewer, right? I don't review people's videos. I don't do that. And that seems to be a real drawing in factor for a lot of channels. They just do that and it's like, yeah, look at the video of NASA. Oh, look, it's so fake. It's just like, I'm bored by that, guys. I've been bored by that since 2016. I mean, I do sometimes just watch it just to see, just to kind of hang around, right? But Jaren has been reviewing like NASA shit since 2015. It's like, yeah, I get it already. I understand the pattern, I understand it's fake, and they're still doing it, and they're still doing it very, very fake on purpose, and they leave Easter eggs for basically flat earthers to point at it. It's like, oh, it's so fake. They're doing that on purpose. I'm not gonna do it. I've never done it, never even did it on the Flat Earth Talks, because that's not what I do. I like to talk about what could be. I like to talk about the realm, what could be, what it could turn out to be. And in order to do that, I'm not gonna review videos, because those other videos are definitely not gonna deliver any information on what the realm could be. Now, do they? Right? I don't have to spend all my time trying to point out to people that might bump into my show and watch it on how the earth is not a ball. I don't have to continually do that, because there's plenty of other people out there doing it. What's the point? I'd like to bring something more unique to the table, yeah? An understanding of what could be. A careful collection of data about the world. rough information outlines and logical conclusions to get a better, complete picture of what the realm is, as far as we know, and what could be concerning the parts that are beyond our reach. And I've spent a lot of time on my show doing that specifically, and people know me for that. I don't see a lot of other people doing it. Do you? I don't. I don't see other people doing that. I see myself doing that. Other people try, and then they eventually roll into nonsense wizardry talk, like dielectrics, or the realm is a magnetic thingy, it's a disc because of that, and just it starts to become broken and unproven and just presupposing in directions that break it all, that just take away the dynamics of what could be, because you latch onto certain preconceptions which are not proven by a long shot. Yeah? I mean, you don't know what magnetism in this realm is. The geomagnetic field, yeah? You don't know why it works the way it does. Nobody does. No physicist does. They know how it works. They don't know why it works the way it does. Yeah? Because magnets that we make like through material magnet or an electro-powered magnet, we can't recreate that. We don't know why the magnetic field works the way it does here on Earth. So we definitely cannot then draw automatic conclusions. Oh, well, because of that, it has to be like this. And the Earth has to be a disk because that's always how magnets work, like this. And with the field and oh yeah, really? Well, guess what? You don't fucking understand the magnetic field here. You don't know why it works the way it does. So you're just presupposing again. Except now with that. Yeah, doing the same stupid presuppositional nonsense tricks that the ball Earth had done for its architecture. So you're trying to replace the ball with a new set of presuppositions. And that's what's happening to a lot of flat earthers. And I've come to call those types of flat earthers disc earthers. Because they're making very specific claims that they cannot actually back. And they latch onto physicality assumption bias concerning the celestial lights, reifying them into actual literal positions hovering over the disk, even though any evidence of an actual position in space is completely elusive. There is no approaching of those celestial lights. There's no angular size increase. There's no energy output increase due to approach. Nothing. They have no evidence, yet they insist this is how it is. Presupposing all over again. Replacing the ball religion with a flat earth model religion. And I'm not going to go with that. I've resisted against that very early on. Very early. And Nathan Oakley was one of the first people to actually give recognition to that attitude and go with it. Like, yeah, you're kind of right. They do presuppose the disc. And we don't actually have the evidence. And there are things that draw that into question. And he's gone with that. And it's really been a great alliance between us because of that. Because he recognized that too from the get-go. I was very early at the Flat Earth debates, even before my Flat Earth early bird show started. I was like talking about this. They're discers. They're disc earthers. And then later, yeah, people and Nathan started to take that a bit more serious. And it's really solidified our position. Our honest, non-presupposing position about the flat earth. It's been great. If I was rich, I would give you a lot of money. Okay, appreciate that, truth over comfort. A little money is cool too. Is there no such thing as terrestrial refraction? Terrestrial refraction is anti-flat earther created mathematical concept. It's not actually real. It's just a concept that presupposes the radius value. Pretty good movie reviewer. Thanks for that, Steamy Traveler. I'm not really a good reviewer. I like to collect good movies, and I'll point that out, and my reviews are not very detailed. They're just like a rough story outline. What's the feel of it? So yeah, I'm a decent movie reviewer, but I mean, it's not really movie reviewer standard, if you know what I mean. There's some specialist movie reviewers out there that just have all this data and they know everything about the actors and how the directors go to work and they know everything about that shit. I don't. I'm definitely not a movie expert, but I am a movie enjoyer, and I do pay attention to like story and the psychological influence of story. So I focus more on that aspect. But thank you for the compliment. Which year has contributed the most original ideas to FE knowledge base, in my opinion? Me. I mean, I'm not gonna like dance around it. Me. I have been absolutely the most original idea contributor to flat earth knowledge. That's me. By far. I stick out. Like really. Everybody out there? Yeah. Me. Absolutely. And not get recognized, but it is shining through. I mean, the sun not being an actual thing in space, that is seeping through. It is literally seeping through people's mouths that are giving some recognition to that. Yeah? I have been the most influential when it comes to conception about reality. Absolutely. I am not gonna be modest about it. It's me. And an individual that would be like a sort of a second, but I mean it's really distant second, would be Pete Shea. He's brought a lot of bizarre, interesting conceptions. He just never really worked them out. So he's kind of not really part of the flat earth scene because of that. But he had some really interesting conceptions though, that have made me think about the origin of Earth and all that. With his Aristarchus and the tree of life getting cut down and that created the sun and the moon and blah blah blah. There's something to that. I've heard that story before. But when it comes to overall original ideas, flat earth knowledge base, well, a lot of people would probably point their fingers at the whole dielectric people and like, oh, it's a magnetic disk thing and all that, right? So people are going to point to those people that came up with that brought that forth. But that's all presuppositional garbage knowledge. It's not actually clearing things up. It's made people fill it in what they don't know to decide, instead of having more options to pick from. That's what that's done. And those people will get fame because of that. But they've not really helped like I have with my ideas. That topic is more clear to me. Great. I'm glad to hear it. Truth over comfort. That's what I like to do. I'm glad that I could help. Do we have to prove there is a container? Nope. This is not my argument. I didn't come up with this. This is natural law. This QE brought this to the table. And that is, no, you must have a container. A container has to be there, or we would not have gas pressure. Gas laws insist that there be a container, or there would be no pressure. Because the gas will immediately disperse in an attempt to fill the available volume. So there has to be containment. It's the necessary antecedent for gas pressure to be able to form. Without a container, there cannot be any gas pressure. So you don't have to prove the dimensions of the container. You can literally use natural law to argue that there must be a container because we have gas pressure and there couldn't be gas pressure without one. And that is absolutely legitimate and recognized. That's a scientific fact, you could say, or it's well recognized within the actual physics-based science community because of the natural law that it's resting on, that argument. So you don't really have to prove the container. You can literally say it must be there because we have gas pressure. And then ballers will typically say, what about the gradient? Why is it more pressure down here and up there? And then you can go into the details of the dynamic system and gas being formed down here and water evaporating, being more dense, etc., etc. Or you could simply say, yeah, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, because you require gas pressure to have formed in order to be able to form a gradient with said gas pressure. And in order to have gas pressure, you must have a container. So gas pressure gradient requires a container to be able to form. Yeah, because without that container, there wouldn't form a gradient. What would form instead is nothing, all evacuated. There would be no air. There wouldn't be a gradient. There would be no air, nothing. That's what would happen if there wasn't containment. Yeah, you're not getting back here, Kumu. Stay out of this. Stupid derailing bullshit is not welcome here right now. Right. So, truth over comfort, I hope that clarifies. There must be a container, or there wouldn't be any gas pressure able to form. Any sort of gas pressure. Right? And look, even if you wanted to prove the dimensions of the container, who's to say that you're going to be physically capable of doing that? Who's to say that there are walls that we could walk up to of this container? When there's a good chance that the realm might be looping, and the loop is the container horizontally. That there is no walls. Simply the available volume looping in on itself would be the limitation to the volume. Because the gas can't go anywhere. It can't move outside of the loop. The loop is a loop. It can't move outside of it. So, a limit of volume. It has to be there or we wouldn't have gas pressure. But how that volume is limited to us, available volume, that's another matter. People intuitively, through physicality assumption bias, might conclude, yeah, there must be in a dome, like a little thing over it, right? It's contained in there, right? You might assume that it's a dome, but that's physicality assumption bias. If the realm is looping, then there is no dome. There is a flat top, perhaps, and the rest would be looping in on itself. It would be continuous, and the volume of gas availability would be limited by the looping continuum. It's a little complicated, but that's effectively there. And that's why you should probably not really try to go into this suggestion from ballers like, where's the container then? Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is. It must be there because we have gas pressure. And that's fact. It's natural law based fact. Cannot be refuted. We can't think. Well, no, I think that we can, Richard G. I think that we can figure out what containment is, but it's not going to be easy. That's for damn sure. Okay? But I think it's definitely possible. It's like physically possible to figure it out. It's physically possible to figure out whether we are contained within a looping realm or not. Or if we're contained in a, well, in a domed realm. Because looping and domed are mutually exclusive. Can't be a round dome if there's a loop. Right? At best, with a loop, it can be a tunnel. A barrier can be there in the form of a tunnel. The loop goes like this, endlessly, but not like that. Then there might be a tunnel barrier. Right? This is the model that Square Earth Cosmology animation basically uses. It's like a tunnel, like the tunnel in the train man station in the Matrix, the second Matrix. A tunnel. It's looping in on itself. That could be the realm. But yeah, that means that Joe, you can bump into the barrier then. Well, let's see that happen. Let's see it happen. And then we can continue figuring out what the realm is. Like, as soon as somebody bumps into a barrier, that's like immediately gonna narrow down what the realm is significantly. As soon as somebody in some place bumps into a barrier, it's immediately gonna narrow down the possibilities of what the realm could be dramatically. And that's the fact. Alright. Anyhow, been going for 2.5 hours. I think I'm gonna round out. It's been great though. I'm kind of hungry. Or going south and making it past the armed guard. Sure. Or north. How about going north? Right? I mean, I'd love to go north. Because what if we went north? We could absolutely break this stupid disk Earth assumption. It's a disk, isn't it? Yeah, no, it isn't a fucking disk, yeah? There's stuff in the middle there. The middle that you assume to be the middle, the north. Yeah? It can't fit there. What's already there in the disk projection, map projection, yeah, the north doesn't actually fit. Yeah? It doesn't fit because it isn't a disk. And if we like go there and find like a gigantic land with a mountain range and rivers in it and an ocean in this inside that's like as big as the Atlantic Ocean, now guess what? I'd love to have that happen. Why? Because then you could say, hey, disk earthers, you're fucking wrong. You were always wrong, and now we have proof that you are wrong. It's not a fucking disk. You get it? Not a disk. Doesn't fit. Yeah, you can't fit this enormous continent into this ocean space because it's literally bigger than the entire ocean up until that point, which means it's not the center of Earth. It's not a disk. I'd love to experience that one day. I'd love to see disk earthers be absolutely disproven. Yeah, it's not a disk. It's not there. Things that are there wouldn't fit on a disk because it's not a disk. Right. So I'd love to see that happen sometime in the future. That would be amazing. And who knows what that land would be like. Right? Maybe there are still giants on there. There are stories of that. So maybe they are. That would be amazing. I'd love to, at some point in my life, even if I'm like an old man, just actually in person see a giant that's like a people that are all like 3 meters tall on average. That would be so amazing. 3 or 4. I'd be so in awe. I'd like really live up with energy. Like I'd feel young again if I would experience that. Anyway, yeah, thanks Terra306. Got to go for dinner. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna get some lunch. Try to get directly beneath Polaris. Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it, Tiger Bear? And what if you then move beyond Polaris? You go further north because there's more room there, and Polaris certainly is like, oh, it's going the other way. And then, you know, what would happen if you go beyond Polaris, beyond that supposed north center point that disc earthers and ball earthers assume, and you'd start to see another demi-sphere of stars rotate up, that you see an alien starred sky because you're entering another realm segment. And suddenly beyond the north reveals another demi-sphere of stars. Yeah. By the way, this is not the first time I've suggested that. I had a Flat Earth Talks. It's the Antiquator episode where I literally suggested that, yeah? If you go north beyond where the Polaris star should be directly above you, and you go further north, then it might be that as it's rotating southward for you, that another demi-sphere of stars might become in sight. A starred sky that you've never seen before. Another half of the celestial demi-sphere that nobody here in this realm has ever seen before. Completely and permanently breaking the notion that it's a consistent outer space surrounding us. It's like, oh yeah, there's just another half of the galaxy revealing itself. Yeah, there's just another half of the galaxy there. Okay, right? Am I right? That would absolutely break that notion forever. So who knows what's going to happen when you go north? You're going to find some land that doesn't fit at the center of a disk or a ball Earth in the north, right? And what will the stars do? Will a new demi-sphere of celestial stars reveal themselves when you go beyond the North Pole point? Beyond the antiquator in the north? Who knows what could happen? Right? I'm really curious to see that happen at some point during my lifetime. That would be pretty freaking amazing. Especially if it turned out that I completely called it. Like years ahead of time. Purely through thinking and reasoning. Now that's an honor I'd love to have. Right. Anyhow. Rounding out the show. So thanks everyone for coming. I hope you like this show. 1600th episode. Yeah, pretty nice and long show. Been very active. Lots of explanation and of course the history of my activities on YouTube. It's a good summary I think I made. Right. Anyway, if you like this show, then please don't forget to Rogan's it up. Make sure you do. I want this to be pretty high upvoted. It would be great. Right? And yeah, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live. It is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal and the Patreon. That would be much appreciated. And again, yeah, you all know about that. I need the support still to keep going. So please, if you can, help out your local Arwijn. And I can keep going doing these early bird shows until episode 2000. Or beyond. 3,000, can you imagine that? Well, it's going to be a decade later, so... Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with Flat Earth Early Bird number 1601 on a Monday. Hope to see you all there. It's going to be 1 p.m. Amsterdam time again. And until the next video, keep it flat and have a very nice Sunday.